Hello there. So good to have you on another edition of the program Smartmove. Smartmove is a brainchild of the Ministry of Information designed to keep Deltans abreast of what the COA-led administration is doing towards realizing the smart agenda and ultimately realizing prosperity for all Deltans. You're welcome to the program. I am Christine Imetulu. Today on MDAs in Focus, ministries, departments, and agencies are still briefing the press, and the Commissioner for Justice, Honorable Barrister Peter Makpo, the Commissioner for Justice, takes his turn in briefing the press. He tells us what the ministry is doing towards achieving the smart agenda of government. Also, did you participate in last week's quiz? You'll find out today whether or not you were one of the winners, and also what today's quiz question would be. We're looking forward to that. Deltans, how have you been impacted by the co-administration? We hear from them on the Smart Talk segment. So these and more coming your way on this edition of the program, Smart Move. Do stay tuned.
A new Delta state opens to the world.
I was sworn in as Honorable Attorney General Commissioner for Justice September 23rd, 2015. We have repositioned the ministry in terms of capacity building, in terms of infrastructural development, and also in terms of laws. Integrity was a problem among legal officers in Delta State, because the impression people had was that there's a lot of corrupt practices in the ministry, particularly in the Department of Public Prosecution. Also, we had a problem of infrastructure. Not only were some offices practically uninhabitable rather, but we didn't even have seats. So what we did, first and foremost, was to try and place persons where I felt they ought to be in terms of posting and reposting. Then we now moved on to dealing with the office. We had to, first line of infrastructural development we did was to get almost 100 seats for lawyers to be able to sit down. That's in the headquarters at Ibuzo Road. We did that, then we had to do up the whole building. It's a 2-story building. We had to do it up because Excellency said I should go in and ensure that we're able to position the Ministry of Justice to be one of the best, if not the best, in Nigeria. We started refurbishing cars, and we now moved on to capacity building. In the past 1 year, we've trained about 70 or 80 persons on mediation and conciliation. We've also looked at equipping the lawyers to be much more efficient and effective in justice delivery. And we had to get laptops for all lawyers. The governor said we should provide all the working tools they would need. So we got laptops for all of them, all equipped with modern research the devices. What we use in Nigeria now that's actually on top of the game is the Law Pavilion. So we got that for them. And like I said at a forum, I told the private bar that my dream is that the law officer would compete effectively with the lawyer in private practice. I think we've done very well.
A land of promise, a people with a big heart. Delta State is yours for prosperity.
I testify.
I testify.
I testify.
The functions of the Ministry of Justice: rendering of legal advice to government ministries, departments, and agencies, drafting of bills and regulations, law review of statutes of the state, formulation of criminal and civil law policies for the state, handling of civil litigation by or against the government, criminal prosecution, performing the functions of Administrator General and Public Trustee, administration of justice, excluding the discharge of the courts of their official functions, law reporting, review, research, drafting and vetting of contractual agreements and other documents relating to government transactions. Then, of course, we have dispute resolution and the promotion and protection of human rights, including the child rights, among others. The functions of the Ministry of Justice have always been spelled out, like I said, and now come to the structure of the Ministry of Justice. We have the following legal departments: Department of Public Prosecutions, Department of Civil Litigation, Department of Legal Drafting, Administrator General and Public Trustee, Department of People's Rights, Department of Law Research, Review and Law Reporting, Department of Advisory Services, Department of Legal Drafting. Then we have our units: Public Advisory Service Unit, Revenue Prosecution Unit, Justice of Peace Unit, Sexual Assault, Domestic Violence Unit, Appeals Unit, ADR Unit. When I became Attorney General in 2015, I said the press conference we had before, the Ministry of Justice was faced with a lot of challenges. We had challenges dealing with capacity training. We had challenges in respect of infrastructure. So we had to appeal to His Excellency the Governor, and he graciously approved that we do renovations and also get all the lawyers to be IT compliant. So the Ministry of Justice, we are modern, no longer dinosaurs when it comes to legal research through IT. That's something we've tried to do. We've also tried to build up capacity by training of our staff. Department of Public Prosecution, we have zones, zonal offices all over the state. And each zonal office is headed by a very senior lawyer, a director level, and they take charge of prosecution in different parts of the state, while the Director of Public Prosecution is based here in Asaba, and he does routine visit to the zones. So also in respect of the Civil Litigation Department, Public Prosecution does just criminal cases, Civil Litigation does just civil cases. Another thing we have done is to create what we call the Sexual and Domestic Violence Unit. Why did we do this? We found out that these are vulnerable persons. We had cases of defilement, we had cases of rape, and cases of domestic violence. One of the challenges I noticed is that in rape, defilement, and domestic violence, prosecution is always a challenge. It's a challenge because our environment is such that we believe that whatever has happened has happened. A child is defiled. You'll be shocked at the caliber of persons who come forward to say, let's forget it. It has happened, it has happened. So we set up this unit, working in conjunction with FIDA, with the International Federation of Female Lawyers, to pursue such cases and ensure that issues of compromise are practically eliminated where possible. Then for domestic violence, of course, most women will not want to report that their spouse have beaten them up. Also, men that are beaten up by women will never come out to say that the women have beaten them up. So we have quite a challenge. But so far, what we've tried to do is, when the matters come up, we call them to meetings, and at times we become very, very strict with them so that such things don't reoccur. And we've had quite a lot of success in respect of that. Then we created our appeals unit. Appeals unit does everything relating to appeals. Before, what we had in the Ministry of Justice, we had everything. Appeals were not tied to any particular unit. They were given to lawyers in different units, and some were given out. But what we've done is to create a unit to coordinate all appeal matters. So whether it's Court of Appeal or Supreme Court, there's a director responsible, there's a department responsible. So that way is more coordinated. Then of course, we have a Department of Civil Litigation. Presently, 616 matters in court. Most of the matters relate to land and chieftaincy. Last year, 10 matters were concluded, 6 of them in favor of the state government. So I just want to point out that even our judges rule against us at times. Because somebody asked me, said, if the state pays the judiciary, are you sure they can rule against you? I said, yes. There are judgments against us. Some are for us. We also appeal against the judgments given against the states, because that's the way it's supposed to be. Then we have the Department of Legal Drafting, concerned with preparing of contract agreements, memorandum of understanding, drafting legislation and regulations for the state. We have under that department 2 basic units: commercial drafting unit, legislative drafting unit. So far, we've had 26 executive bills. And notable among these are the bill for a law to establish the Office of the Public Defender, its functions and matters there too. This bill is intended to provide free legal representation to the downtrodden, the weak and indigent in the state. Now, why do we come up with this? His Excellency at a point called me and said that he was a bit concerned about the number of persons who didn't have access to justice. So we decided to come up with the Public Advisory Unit. Now, the Public Advisory Unit does free legal service. Under the Public Advisory Unit, we reached out to lawyers in private practice and got them to enroll with us to give free legal service. So whenever a matter comes up, the Public Advisory Unit or the Public Advisory Desk in each of the zonal offices, they give free legal advice, and they can progress further to either mediation or to a private practitioner who has undertaken to give free legal service. So that way, we are sure that every person who approaches us for free legal service is attended to. Another bill that we have is the one relating to forceful entry and illegal occupation of public and private landed properties, violent and fraudulent conducts in relation to public and private landed properties in Delta State. I'm sure it's necessary the governor has talked about this. This is what some people call it the DEVE bill, anti-DEVE bill. Now, there are 2 aspects to this bill. The first aspect deals with who is responsible when government properties are vandalized. Every community has a leadership, and the leadership will take responsibility for government projects in their area of operation. The second aspect of it is forceful occupation of land is going to be outlawed. There's a process for acquisition. Having acquired legally, you have a right to enjoy it. So the public hearing, I hope, will be available so that we all go there and look at it and make our inputs, because it's something that concerns each and every one of us. If we are to develop as a state, His Excellency has insisted that this is one bill that has to go through. For MOUs, we've done quite a lot of MOUs. We've done the MOUs on agro projects. We've done the Okwashuku. We've done one at Amokwe. Then we've also looked at contracts. There are certain contracts that were awarded by the state government, and the contractor stopped performing a long time ago. We've had to move in to determine them. And one thing we've done in our contracts, we've introduced a 5-year warranty that for any contract, construction contract, a contractor must give us a 5-year warranty. If there is a problem within 5 years, you will go back and fix it at your own cost. Some people used to say 1 year because of issue of retention, but we have said no, it's 5 years. If there's a problem, please go back, or we'll force you to go back. So I'm sure if you look around, the quality of work that is going on is very, very different. And that's one of the reasons why it's like that, because the governor has insisted that it should be like that. Then one of our departments that has very challenging work is the Department of People's Rights. People's Rights Department has been around before the multi-door courts came into being. And what does it do? Basically, it looks at mediation. It looks at mediation between host communities and companies that operate within their areas of jurisdiction. It also looks at issues between government and workers. That's the most interesting part. These departments have had to make certain decisions that frightened even me as Attorney General. Why do I say so? They make decisions and say, you are wrong as government. Very impressive, I must tell you, because they are civil servants. But the way the department is structured like a law court. So their decisions are independent. I can't even influence their decisions because that's the way they are structured. And they've been doing quite a lot, particularly in helping our oil companies to survive in our environment and helping our communities not to be cheated by the oil companies. Because we have situations where MOUs have been entered into and the oil companies renege. And they start doing a lot of very outward practices. The department have had to come in to say, no, you reached an agreement, respect it. Then we've done issues of landlord and tenant, case of violation of human rights, employers and employees, then public enlightenment campaigns. One thing I also mentioned at this point is that Chevron Nigeria Limited has been working with us. Chevron is trying to set up a mediation center in Nigeria, and they've agreed to work with us to have it in Delta State. They've inspected the facility at Ughelli. So we are going to the next stage now of that transaction. So I hope that before the end of the year, we'll conclude with Chevron so that we can have a proper collaboration. The essence of it is that Chevron believes that there's a need to train mediators to be able to deal with the issues that come up between oil prospecting companies and the host communities. And by God's grace, they've agreed to work with us on that. So of course, we have the revenue department, which, as you know, or as you have felt, if you don't have a signboard, well, journalists don't have signboards, I guess. You don't have a signboard, or you don't have a place of business, then you will not have felt us unless personal income tax will not come close to you. But we have a lot of cases in court right now, encouraging people to pay their taxes. Somebody told me that we are forcing people. I said, no, we are just encouraging them to do what they are supposed to do. Pay your taxes. Because if you don't pay taxes, it's a challenge where government will have money to perform. So, gentlemen, I would like to round up here with an area that concerns you. That's the Justice Half Hour. It's a public enlightenment program by the Ministry of Justice. It runs every Monday on DBS. So once again, thank you so very much.
Now, during the course of the ministerial press briefing with the Ministry of Justice taking its turn, the questions asked by journalists and they sought answers to what the Ministry of Justice is doing in collaboration with the police to control the incessant issue of cultism, especially among minors in the Asaba metropolis.
Cultism. Cultism, yes, is a problem. We have the anti-cultism law in Delta State. We're enforcing it. Sometime last year, early last year or so, we had about 100 and something youths, I can't remember the number now, 100 and something, in 1 week remanded in prison for cultism. So prosecution is on, but I think the major issue with cultism, without being overly spiritual, is that most cultists come from homes where the parents are into cultism. So it's a generational thing, from my experience. So parents should pay more attention to their own lifestyles, because that is what rubs off on the children in most cases. Now, government has been working with the schools on the issue of cultism in schools. The director for social mobilization orientation has been going around, and I know that the Ministry of Justice, they are coming up with a program also, because the function of enlightenment. Most of these people who go into cultism, they think that it's identifying with a peer group, or they need support to be able to survive in society, or they need to belong. But the truth is that it's an avenue to be destroyed. So they don't appreciate it. So they need to be enlightened to be able to understand that.
He has tried in the area of roads, he has tried, but we still need more roads.
They are trying on the area of electricity and the channeling of the drainage that has been a problem or a crisis to most of the road here in Asaba. As you can see, the work is really going on.
I think here in Delta State Polytechnic, Ogwashuku, the governor, Okowa, has tried to put in lights, electricity.
I testify.
I testify. I testify.
Barrister Peter Mrakpo, the Honorable Commissioner for Justice, today put us in the picture of his achievement so far as the Commissioner for Justice and how his ministry has helped to achieve the smart agenda of government. Also, we found out who the quiz winners for last week were. Questions also are there for you for today's quiz segment. And also, Deltans had their say on how the co-administration have impacted their lives. You too can have your say. All you need to do is join us on our social media platforms. That's on Facebook, Smartmove. Our Twitter handle is @ThisIsSmartMove and Instagram, ThisSmartMove. Until next time, when another edition of the program Smartmove comes your way. And of course, on behalf of other members of the production team, I'm Christine Emitulu. Thanks for today. Remember, think smart, move smart. Goodbye.